This video is a part of my learning journey to learn Go by building a small TUI application. At some point, the application didn't want to scroll. It wasn't because Go is bad or because Bubble Tea, the framework I'm using, is bad or something like that. It was because I completely misunderstood the architecture. I was trying to update the model in a view, and this is not how things work. So in this episode, I'm going to walk through how I made the layout fully responsive, why the damn scroll didn't work, what I misunderstood about view and update functions in Bubble Tea, and at which point the AI sent me in a completely wrong direction. This is not a tutorial, just real mistakes made along the way, about 3 hours footage cut down to 10 minutes. Let's start. This is where we left off the last time. What I will be trying to do now is to make it truly responsive. For example, if we go and this width, everything breaks. I think this is the maximum width where we should have a split screen. And this space here makes kind of sense if we are in a full screen mode, that we have a little bit breathing room here, but it doesn't make sense when we are here. Then we could remove this breathing space and make it like one column instead of two. Okay, so we fixed the first step in the problem and already learned something quite interesting and very useful about Go. First, to the learnings: if you define a function, a struct, a type, a variable, whatever, if the name is with a lowercase letter, it will not be exported. If it will be a capital letter, it is automatically exported. I can use it within the package, meaning within this app folder, but I cannot use it while in another file outside of the package, so outside of this folder. So what we have done up until now is make it more responsive than it was before. Depending on how wide we are, the space here is getting bigger or smaller. How we have done is actually quite simple, as I've defined these two functions, which calculate the body width, and the check they receive the width, which is defined in the model, and if the width is smaller than equal 120, then we subtract 10 instead of 20, and lower equal 110, we don't subtract anything. Now what doesn't work yet, what I have to figure out right now, is if I go lower than that, you see what happens? Everything breaks. Why does it break? Because I was trying to do it like this. So I was trying to use the same tactics, but the problem is that in our view, it still tries to force it into a horizontal layout. This one, because we have a joint horizontal left pane and right pane. If I say, okay, the left pane is like 100% width, then there is no place anymore for the right pane, because it also should have 100% width. So what I should be doing instead is joining it vertically. I should build in a check in here and build another body. This is what I'm going to try to do. I don't know if this is the best way or the right way to do it. I think it should work this way, so I'm gonna test it out. Okay, this actually worked. So now we get this, but now we get another problem, which is the height is completely messed up, because the height is also hard-coded. So when we do it like this, we should be able actually to scroll. I have to figure out if this is possible to enable scrolling or something like that, because this would be the best way to handle this, that we have our scroll back. We are opening this with Alt Screen, and I don't know how it handles scrolling, or if even scrolling is possible in full window mode. I have no idea. Yeah, I have to figure this one out. Almost there. One thing that is missing is the actual scrolling. So we have now our view. You can see that it is everything showing correctly. So we are showing either vertical or horizontal, depending on the width. To show it on top and prepare for this whole scrolling business, we had to do some strange stuff I don't fully understand yet. What we had to do is, first in our app model, we had to import this viewport, and this viewport we defined here within the model, and we added a small ready boolean. This ready boolean is only there for the initial loading to prevent loading a viewport which has 0 height and 0 width. So in our update function, we had to update some stuff. First of all, we had to update the case with this window size message, we're setting the width and the height. And then we are checking for the ready boolean. If the ready boolean is false, then we are setting a new viewport. And in our view, if the width is smaller or equal 100, we will join vertical instead of horizontal, so we get a vertical layout and not a horizontal layout. Then we add this content business to the viewport, so we are now prepared to add scrolling to our app. Okay, this is driving me kind of nuts. I think I know what the problem is, but I am quite unsure, to be honest. The scroll is not working. According to ChatGPT, the probable cause will be that I'm setting the height of the app somewhere before reaching our view. So in our view, we have this viewport view and this set content. And this is what actually should be setting the height of the app. But I don't know why the scroll doesn't want to work, like at all, but it should work. Oh man, this was a tough one to understand, but this is the inner workings of bubble tea, not of Go. What actually happened? I misunderstood how this whole thing works. View is just a receiver. It doesn't persist any changes. So any changes that I do in here do not persist on the model itself. Changes have to happen actually in the update. So I've just moved actually the whole code in here and commented the code out from the view. And now I can scroll down and up. I still can't scroll down with the wheel up and wheel down, but this can be because of Tmux. But this is also not so important. I don't have to scroll with the mouse. I'm rather using my keyboard. So there's that. This now looks kind of ugly. I have to clean this up, but now it works. I put it all in the update, and now when I run this, we see the viewport height is 31, the total line count is 121, and the ready state is true, so everything is correct. And with arrow down, getting to the bottom, and if I press up, we are getting up. This is nice. So the dear AI ChatGPT sent me on a hunt in the completely wrong direction, because what ChatGPT said to me that the most likely problem will be that I am setting somewhere the height. The problem was from the beginning that I did all this stuff here in the view, but what it does not do, it doesn't update the model. The only place where I can update the model, so the final height which is passed down to the viewport, is in the update which I defined here in the model.go. Only what happens inside of here is factually updating the model, because the model is simply returned from here. And that is why we are persisting the data. The view just is a receiver. It doesn't change the model itself. It doesn't return the model. That's why it can't change the model. Our secondary goal for today will be to just list the folder names. As I consulted the AI, because this is how I actually try learning with the help of AI, what we are supposed to do to get this is first of all adding a project string, an array of strings to the model state. So we have a project's model state and a loading error, which makes kind of sense. Yeah, we define the functions, we define the error, and we call everything an init for now. So we will only read the project's folder contents on init of the program. So when the program starts, we read it once and that's it. We have done it. Now we are showing the contents of my folder. So what we have now, in our init, we return the load project command. What it actually does, we have a typed, which is a struct of names and error. We are looping through the range of entries. First of all, we check if this is a directory, then we check if there is a prefix of a dot, because we are on Linux and a dot means it is a hidden directory. I don't want to show hidden directories. I don't want to show my prototypes directory, and I don't want to show anything which is prefixed with the word test. And if I'm at it, I don't want to have test as well, so I can add another thing like so. So now when I go here, you see testing data is there. When I go out and in again, testing data is out. Now we have our load projects, which is loaded on initial load, and it lists the folder names that we actually want. This was quite fun. You do something like this. This is already an error because it returns something and we didn't define what it returns. So this is a very, very strict language. But this is also nice because I have to think constantly about types and constantly about what it returns, what it takes in, what the shape of the data is. So it's actually a very nice thing. That's it, folks. That's all I wanted to show. So our scrolling bug wasn't really a bug. It was a completely misunderstanding on my part on how the bubble T architecture works. The view in bubble T doesn't return the model, so it is just a renderer. And because it doesn't return the model, it doesn't persist the state. If you want the changes to stick, you have to do it in the update function, because this one does return the model. So the changes stick around. Also a very interesting part, the AI very, very confidently sent me in a completely wrong direction. Which is fine, just a reminder that we are not able to trust those systems 100% yet, and we probably will never do. I'm documenting my whole process of learning Go while building some tools. If that's interesting to you, like and subscribe. Next time I will be cleaning up this mess that we did today a little bit and start some navigation functionality and this kind of stuff. See you in the next one.